process that has not been concluded. Now let's see the reaction of INEC again. INEC gave another reaction, but this time it was merely an update to the previous reaction. The addition here was that the commission is deeply disturbed by the harassment of 2 national commissioners deployed to the states to ensure a peaceful and credible supplementary election. We urge the security agencies to provide them with necessary security and ensure that nothing untoward befalls them. The 2 national commissioners, the returning officer, and other staff of the commission must be allowed to perform their duties without let or hindrance. The commission will not condone any act of lawlessness or brigandage targeted at our officials or the process. Again, Festus Okoye, National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee. That was not the last in the list of reactions. Governor Ahmadu Fintiri of the PDP, who is the incumbent governor and has now been declared winner of that election, also gave his reaction to Sunday's, back and forth. Let's take a listen to his own reaction now.
The election inconclusive. As civilized citizens who were committed to a democratic echo, we accepted the situation in good faith and prepared for the rerun. Yesterday, Saturday, the 15th of April, the rerun was held peacefully across the state. The appropriate officers are now commenced the process of collation. The first round of collation went on well, with 11 local government collected, before the process was adjourned to continue today, 16th of April at 11 a.m. Just when we are waiting for the resumption of the collation, the REC this morning took up a tax he is not constitutionally empowered to do by making an illegal announcement of the outcome of the election without result. This action is no doubt prerogative, but in this situation, I appeal for calm, as always. I assure you that as your leader, I will ensure nobody downs your...
Well, you can still see, you could hear Governor Ahmadu Fintiri's reaction to that story there, but let's take a look at what Nigerians themselves had to say. I'll take some 10 comments for you there. Start with Maurice. Maurice Monnier began the conversation on Monday, says, what even bust my head is the REC announced our winner, no figure or data announced. She's hereby declared winner, in quote, is what was said. And the man also said that just like that, the guy at the background was asking how was it possible that you were able to, declare someone winner of an election that was yet to conclude. Now, the next comment came from Akin Olaoye. Akin Olaoye says, Mr. Integrity at Muhammadu Buhari, who many expected would clean up the impunity and gross corruption in Nigeria, has gifted us the most corrupt government system since independence. The brazen corruption and impunity being displayed by INEC in Adamawa is nothing but disgusting. What has this country become? Senator Shehu Sani says the Adamawa REC even has policemen by his side to announce the coup. Sadiq Tade was the next person who said, Binani no fear God. Inside Ramadan, them announce you without result. You they read acceptance speech. Very, very bad there. Demagogue says there is no difference between what Mahmoud did with the presidential election when he announced the result in the midnight with what the Adamawa REC did today. Both are actionable, treasonable felonies committed before the gleeful watching eyes of the world. That's coming from Demagogue there, Demagogue von Bismarck, giving that statement. Efyong Inibe says, because of the insolent and reckless go-to-court refrain, people now go to length to rubbish the electoral process and then taunt the victims to seek the intervention of the court. The belief is that our courts do not dispense electoral justice. The judiciary should be worried. He goes on to say the impetus of the Adamawa REC is actuated by a disdain for rule of law and the judicial system. Judges and lawyers in Nigeria must rise up and salvage the image of the legal profession. Offenders should tremble when victims go to court. They shouldn't be urging them to do so. The next comment comes from Nefertiti Light. She says, Hudu Yunusa isn't the returning officer of a governorship election, yet he walked into a collation center to declare APC's Aisha Binani winner without reading the vote scored by contestants. Isn't that treason? This APC and INEC marriage is a devilish union, to say the least. Now, the next comment came from Mavis Ikpeme. She says, we're sinking further down into the abyss of lawlessness. The same lawlessness without consequences is what gave the INEC rec in Adamawa the impetus to announce a result in favor of Aisha Binani without collation instead of a returning officer. Even though he has been arrested, INEC's impunity filled his gut in the first place. Next comment says, as much as I want to see women win, I do not support the shenanigans from the Adamawa rec. How could you announce Aisha Binani the winner of election without proper vetting and scrutiny? It is undemocratic. That's coming from that young man there. Now we take the last comment. Chikta says, careful what you legitimize. The wrong at INEC official made a declaration before results were done in Adamawa. A serving minister was already waking up in the US and thanking God, and some were already telling Fintiri to go to court. Careful what you legitimize. Well, that's the comment on that story there, looking at what happened in Adamawa State on Monday. But on Tuesday, something else came up. On Tuesday was Samuel Ortom's letter causing issues right there in Benue State. Let's take a look at what Samuel Ortom was proposing. We'll look at Governor Ortom's life pension bill to give Benue ex-governors 4 new cars every 4 years, monthly governor salary, annual vacation abroad, other outrageous provisions. Now, let's take it section by section now. Section 2A1 makes provision for the payment to the former governors of a monthly stipend equivalent to the salary of a sitting or incumbent governor. Section 2A makes provision for the payment to all former deputy governors of a monthly stipend equivalent to the salary of a sitting incumbent deputy governor. Section 2B provides for the building of a permanent residential accommodation in any town of their choice by the state in Nigeria. Section 2C and H provide for the provisions of 4 new cars every 4 years for the former governors and 2 new cars every 4 years for the former deputy governors, whose cars shall be serviced and maintained at the expense of the state. Section 2D and E provide for 6 personnel staff for the former governors and 3 for the former deputy governors to be paid for by the state. Let's continue. Section 2F provides for 24-hour security surveillance and guard for all former governors and their deputies at their direction. Section 2G provides for free medical treatment for them, their spouses, and at least 4 children under the age of 18. Section 3 provides that all the above expenses can be monetized or cashed out. Section 4 entitled former governors to 2 vacations abroad annually and the former deputy governor to 1 vacation abroad. So that was what was causing controversy on social media on Tuesday. And now let's take responses to that. We begin with Demola Olariwaju. Says, this law is one of Bola Tinubu's many infamous contributions to the Nigerian polity since 1999. It started with him in Lagos. Those who underestimated his avaricious political policies and chose him as first or second choice may yet find out what Lagos has long suffered. United Nigeria Youth says, Babawan enjoy till death comes, shaking my head. Amidst all the killings on social media on the state, Baba still get time for rubbish. Zero governance, zero leadership. Ayodeji says, continuous obscene compensation for enjoying himself on public purse for 8 years. Little wonder why the worst of us would kill for power and do everything to keep eating in the system. We go over to Distinguished Everest, who says, thieves, the only reason they do this is that they can't afford the lives they live with our public wealth. We have to keep paying them. Oloye says, this man has zero other plans in life. He just wants to live off Benue forever. I don't mind pension and gratuities being paid to a former governor, but it should not exceed the amount paid to the highest level civil servants in the state. Oladipo Samuel says, these are some of the issues. Just because you governed the state for 8 years, you're talking about life pension. Well. Ochinawata says, this is one of the worst governors in Nigeria. Did absolutely nothing for his people, always telling lies to gain sympathy from his people. I feel pity for Benue people who took him seriously. Jude Uba Eze says, meanwhile, he has refused to pay workers' salaries to the tune of 10 months and 3 years for pensioners. And the AAA says the worst thing to happen to Benue, no brain, no class, no leadership qualities, just 0 over 100. And consultant Ron Kizu says all these ex-governors are leeches, serve for maximum of 8 years and want to continue till death. Now, on Tuesday, that's what rocked social media. That's what people were talking about. And that was a conversation that was going on all around on social media. But on Wednesday, quite interesting things happened. On Wednesday at Adamawa, we had a resolution to the Adamawa issue. The REC was suspended by INEC, was told not to come near the secretariat. INEC declared Ahmadu Fintiri as winner of the election. A lot of other things happened on Wednesday, and so we'll quickly move over to Thursday now. Our Thursday, which was yesterday, there was some argument that was on social media. People were going back and forth over a certain woman, a certain lady who gave advice to Nigerian men. She says, according to Yaba Left Online, she says, if your wife mistakenly sleeps with another man, pray and fight for her. We women make mistakes too. If she gets pregnant outside, take care of the child. Every child is a blessing. Welcome the child. You are the head of the home. That's coming from actress Bukumi Oluwashino. Now, that did not really go down well with people, even though she was claiming that it was some sort of sarcasm. But let's see how Nigerians took to the social media. But before we go there, let's listen to a video where she gave that advice.
Everyone is always busy advising the women. Today, let's advise the men. Men, you guys should protect yourselves. Protect yourselves. It's not every time a girl calls you that I'm coming that you say you're around. Must you be around? Every time I'm around, when are you coming? No. Give yourself some pride. These girls will just sleep with you and dump you. Say you are not at home, even if it's once. And let's say your girlfriend mistakenly slept with your best friend and you're breaking up. No, now. Fight for your girl. She's your girl. What if she forgot that he is your best friend? That's how my gender people are. We forget things easily. You just forgive and move on. Or your wife mistakenly slept with somebody outside and got pregnant. Every child is a blessing. Nobody is above mistake. You welcome the child. Build your home. You are the head of the family. She is head of the family. They call you people. You are the one that will make your own work now. Or you want to leave your wife for the new guy? No. You fight for your home. Fight for your woman. That's okay. If you leave her now, do you know if the next person you are going to be with is going to sleep with your brother? No, now. No. Act like the head of the family that they say that you are. Now that one is off. All of these people doing, give us 20 years, give us 5 years. All these things will end next month. Anything you want to become it now. We are not giving you any more years.
That particular piece of advice did not go down well with Nigerians, especially the men. They found it uncomfortable to hear from actress Bukumi Oluwashino. So let's see the reaction. While the women took her side, even though it was sarcastic, but let's see the different reactions. Perfume Baby says, in addition, watch War Room, dress well, stop wearing Adiu Papa shirt up and down. Up your game. Ask her what you can do so she doesn't look outside. Do midnight prayers. Don't let the devil win over your home. Interesting. Gabby the Mohofok Bella says that her statement was a shade to men and all the supporters of men that supports their act of misbehaving outside their home. If you don't get it, forget about it. That was the sarcasm there that I was speaking about earlier. Cynthia says, point of correction, women do not cheat mistakenly. A woman who wants to cheat does so with her whole heart. Before a man cheats, it must have taken a lot of time and plan. Now, Dineka says, I've been reading comments. Not even a guy could say, okay, noted. Well, good luck to the mistakers. Demi of Lagos, Lomi also says, this girl husband need the vigilante because Eleima Delco Neta, that's what was his name, Demi, has to say. Now, Lady T says, you people should relax with the responses. It's just sarcasm. She's saying this because the culture allows that a wife is expected to forgive a man, make a mistake with another woman, while the woman is tagged a prostitute if she makes similar mistakes. Nobody should even be making. You don't mistakenly cheat. You cheat deliberately. It's a planned work. You know what you were doing. You do not mistakenly remove your shirts. You do not mistakenly remove your this thing to do genital meet and greet. Dewolu Damilola Agbojo says, like, how so many men are foaming in their mouth over this. So you guys can take what you give. It's obvious he's being sarcastic, but I like how uncomfortable it's making you all feel. Major Jamal says, the fact that you're a celebrity with many followers on social media, this was one of the persons who took it seriously, doesn't mean you should open your mouth to say nonsense. You all should keep the same energy when it's the other way around and not thinking of splitting properties. Abiodun Adedo says it simply means she can do same for her husband. I will keep on saying it. All this so-called celebrity are not role model. Look at what this one is saying. We are gradually losing it all. This generation needs more prayers. Ambiverted AB says, do you now realize how ridiculous it sounds when a married man says getting another woman pregnant was a mistake or accident? And that Zuru girl comes last. She says, sarcasm at work, but that's what women are constantly told. Embrace his cheating, ask, pray for him when he's cheating, and learn to accommodate the children he brings from cheating. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So those are the comments on that issue. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you the rest of the show. But while taking that break, I'll leave you with the video of Oluwabukunmi Oluwashino giving her advice to men that you need to take your wife back when she mistakenly cheats. It's just a mistake. No, but it's not deliberate. She wasn't trying to undermine you. But then to all the mistakenly people cheating, all the cheating people mistakenly doing whatever they're doing, carry on. I'll see you after the break.
Everyone is always busy advising the women. Today, let's advise the men. Men, you guys should protect yourselves. Protect yourselves. It's not every time a girl calls you that I'm coming that you say you're around. Must you be around? Every time I'm around, I'm coming. When are you coming? No. Give yourself some pride. These girls will just sleep with you and dump you. Say you are not at home, even if it's once. And let's say your girlfriend mistakenly slept with your best friend and you're breaking up. No, now. Fight for your girl. She's your girl. What if she forgot that he is your best friend? That's how my gender people are. We forget things easily. Just forgive and move on. Or your wife mistakenly slept with somebody outside and got pregnant. Every child is a blessing. Nobody is above mistake. You welcome the child. Build your home. You are the head of the family. If this head of the family, they call you people. You are the one that will make your own work now. Or you want to leave your wife for the new guy? No, you fight for your home, fight for your woman. That's okay. If you leave her now, do you know if the next person you're going to be with is going to sleep with your brother? No, now. No. Act like the head of the family that they say that you are. Now that one is off. all of these people doing, give us 20 years, give us 5 years, all these things will end next month. Anything you want to become it now. We are not giving you any more years. And that's all.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything or nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adefila and I've got the gut. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency as a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history. This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally, the first story building in Nigeria, is an Akaba museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history. The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ad initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups in the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in the multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise.
All right, so welcome back to the show. It's still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we've been bringing you conversations around what's happening in the country, some updates really on situations, and we will be dwelling on Adamawa again this morning. You know, a lot of things have happened in that state since Sunday. The back and forth between INEC and every other party involved in the rerun supplementary election of Saturday, 15th April 2022. But yesterday there was a new development. Remember that on Wednesday, INEC suspended the resident electoral commissioner of its commission in Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, and told the man to stay away from the secretariat of the commission, and meaning that he had been stripped of his powers and could no longer act as a resident electoral commissioner. INEC took it a step further by reporting Mr. Yunusa Ari to the president for appropriate action. And just yesterday, in a statement issued by the Director of Information Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, the president suspended Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari pending the completion of investigation by the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, into the conduct actions of the REC during the recently concluded controversial supplementary election in Adamawa State. The president also directed the immediate investigation and prosecution, if found liable, of Yunusa Ari. Another thing that was said was that the director of the DSS, IGP, commandant of the NSCDC were asked to, prosecute and look at their investigate really their officers and their role in the issue. So this morning we're joined in the studio by legal practitioner Mr. Moses Obadito to give us some legal perspective to all of this that has happened. So let me start with, you had issues with, or many people had issues with INEC reporting Mr. Yunusa Ari to the president, but some said that because the president appoints commissioner, commissioners of INEC, that was the right way to go. That was the right thing to do. Could INEC have sanctioned the man themselves, apart from the suspension?
Because I personally have a problem with the fact that they had to report to the president.
Well, what the INEC have done so far, I see, is within their capability. Because if you bring somebody in your studio, instead of assisting you to get the process on, but it's becoming a cog in the wheel of progress, you have a right to ask the person to please vacate the studio.
Yes.
So the same thing in this electoral theater for the residential electoral commissioner to have not be the one who is now doing the work or usurping power of another person. So INEC has a right to suspend. However, going further, what does the law says about the rec and the presidency, and how do we even remove him? So let's look at what the Electoral Act of 2022, what it says. Section 6 has this to say: the resident electoral commissioner appointed under the Constitution may only be removed by the president, acting on an address supported by two-thirds majority of the Senate, praying that the resident electoral commissioner be so removed for inability to perform the functions of the office, whether arising from infirmity of mind or body or any other cause, or for misconduct. So there's a difference between suspension and then removal. Now the president has a right to remove him, but not on his own, and not president alone. It has to forward his name to the National Assembly. The National Assembly will now look at some of the things leveled against him, and then two-thirds of members sitting in that meeting will now approve the total removal of Adi as a residential electoral commission. So for us, reporting him and say this is what have done, is just for further punitive measure. But what INEC has done is that they have a power of removing him, suspending him, asking him not to come to their office. What they've done so far, that. But for us to be able to get to the end of it, was that those security agents, which Inspector has instructed another, maybe the president has asked them to look into, how did this thing happen? Who are those people who assisted him to arrive at this one? Then how come that Commissioner of Police was also sitting when he was doing the what will I call it, the illegality? So these are also, because you recall, the Inspector has removed the Commissioner of Police there. The director of NSCDC has also recalled their own member. So all these people will also be investigated to know if the allegation, remember somebody alleged, some video went on viral that a particular sum of money was shared in order to influence that decision. So these are some things that need to be done. But no, the real area where we're talking about that, the issue of waiting for president to prosecute him shouldn't have been the issue. He has violated the law. The law must have its court. Why they are doing that, taking him to court, doing the administrative aspect, that one should not be the work of the president. The work of the president is that I don't even want you. Since I'm the one who forwarded your name, I'm the one that appointed you, I don't have the single power to remove, but I will forward your name now to the National Assembly. And that's cleared the air. So that one's so that's the way it should be.
Yeah, now, but looking at the way the dynamics of the Nigerian political system governance is now, so many persons are running back and forth between courts and all of that. Do you think that in the event of wanting to remove this man now, will the National Assembly be able to sit on his matter, or can the 10th Assembly continue from there when they're inaugurated? Yes,
governance is a continuum. If this present National Assembly cannot do, remember, the National Assembly calendar year ends in June. Why that of the executive end in May? So why it is still there and the case is before them, they can recall and ask him one or two questions, and then they will do the voting. And even if that wants to remove, remember, he's not likely to return. But then don't close the door, because you can discover tomorrow, and if it belongs to the power that be. Remember, I told you about the Godfather. So if it belongs to the caucus, they just transfer him to something. They call it administrative error, or maybe overzealousness, and nobody will ask question again. So, but if we want to cleanse our society, if you want the electoral process in Nigeria to improve, we must be sure that those people we are putting there are men of integrity. They are people who are politically neutral, because you are not supposed to be partisan. If you are a residential electoral commissioner, if you are partisan, the tendency likely to end up the way this man end up. So we can't say that the case will end up now. But that notwithstanding was that this man is not likely to go back to Adamawa, but then the court will continue with its work depending on the fact before the court. And that's why they are not asking for investigation. To me, and I think in a developed country, they are picking pieces together. Their videos are there. The national television, newspaper, they call us. All they simply do is just to invite him to the police. Okay, please, anything you say, this will be used against you. Oh, yeah, state your case. By the time they do it, based on all the material facts. But yeah, when they want to, if you are on a good side, they say, okay, we are looking at, we have asked somebody to investigate. In the process of investigation, things will cool down. Have you ever noticed in Nigeria that within 2 weeks something will happen that will make the past issue to be a non-issue? So each time something happens like that, if you are not on this good side, then the case will continue. But if you are on the good side, you just realize that will be the end of the story. But we pray this one will not be, because if it's at the end of the story, people will still recall. An INEC image that's already soiled will further be destroyed. So for them to cleanse it, there must be sanctions so as to serve as deterrent. There will be residential electoral commissioner in the future.
Okay, so apart from the allegations of 2 billion naira now, Binani wrote a letter to absolve herself of that claim. But apart from those allegations, let's look at the servicemen who were at the venue of that event. What excuse did they have to have accompanied the wreck? I believe that there was sensitization and a source of acclimatization with the Electoral Act. So everybody who was on duty, that they knew the provisions of the Act. Now, why were those servicemen still sitting there if they knew the law?
Well, you recall that when the process was on, it was agreed that the thing should be adjourned and that they should reconvene the next day. I think maybe around 11 a.m. But the man reconvened by 9. Reconvening, the person who's supposed to be the returning officer was not even in their midst. So the security men cannot claim ignorance. This is not the first time. By the time you are an inspector of police, by the time you are DSP, you are likely to be familiar with this one. And even when you are going, they are going to work on debriefing. So as you are going for this election, when after collation, this is going to be, this is the returning officer, and not only that, there are pamphlets, which INEC calls their own, day-to-day administrative process. So they have the pamphlet in their hand. They know what to do. But the problem is this. When there is a plan, somebody even referred to this Adamawa issue as a coup. A coup is mean forcefully taking over. So for the residential electoral commissioner to now call the commissioner of police, call the director of state services, and call the director of civil defense and sat down and then say, well, this is the result is not with you. You only give one figure, you didn't give the other figure.
There was no even figure. There were no figures.
No figures. So you can't say the security are not aware. It's not the first time they are seeing it. That's why I said by the time you get to a particular round, you must have involved either directly or indirectly in election in Nigeria. So and it's not even the first one in the year. It's even one of the postponed election. So for them to now sit down comfortably, the first question is that there must be an understanding. What is the understanding? You will have briefed them. Look, this is the story. I need your support. I need your something. And then they came that the commissioner of police is not there. Do you know in the state you have deputy commissioner of police, you have the assistant commissioner of police. So for the commissioner of police said to sit comfortably when illegality is being committed, it is deeper than the thing we are seeing. So it must have been some discussion. There must be some understanding before they have the audacity of usurping the power and doing the thing that can set the whole state ablaze. And yet the man, none of them, except maybe even Adim said, none of them, those commissioners have spoken and said, no, this is what happened. In fact, this is the instruction I got. It is my superior board that asked me. And apart from it, do you know, like shown here, we have what we call Deputy Inspector General of Police, who coordinates Oyo, I think Oyo, Osun, and Ekiti. So the DIG, for such a thing to be on, is likely to know that, and if it's not well, the commissioners, my lord, sir, the resident director want to discuss, and he wants to say, what happened? And nobody is giving us a feedback. So it's not just a matter of maybe it's a mistake on the side of commissioner to have sat in that meeting. It's an understanding. The understanding court will prove it with time.
So is there a legal term and possibly punitive measures for the acceptance speech that was read by Aisha Binani? I mean, two things are at play here now. The wrong person announced the result. She should have known. She's a lawmaker. Second thing was that collation was still ongoing. The process had not been completed. I was just discussing with my colleague during the newspaper review that the margin of lead was almost unassailable. Looking at, there were 31,000, was a 31,000 margin. Available votes were 37,000. She needed to win all of those 37,000 to have won the election. She knew that it was a difficult job. I'm sure she has the situation room that must have been collating all the results, but she still went on to refer to herself as duly elected governor. I mean, is there a legal term for that?
Well, let's even look at it from this angle. In law, there is no ignorance of law. Secondly, she knew the collation was still on. Because if they said you have won, they will show you the figure. They will show you some other things that shows that you are the one. And even the man will declare you are likely to be around. When the thing was done, no figure, nothing is on the ground, and somehow one of her agents are likely to say the thing is still on. And you knew even during the postpone, Fintri was leading with almost maybe 31, and he need to win all the one in those 69 polling units, which she knew quite well. So for her to have accepted that one, so we said is conspiracy to what I call it, to steal, because they stole somebody's mandate. She has conspired, and by the time she gets to court, she cannot deny that he was aware that this thing given to her, the officer, the record, and many other things, and assuming she's innocent, why is she jumping to the court? Why is she asking the another? As she moved from Adamawa to Abuja and said, please restrain INEC from reviewing this thing that until the one. And you know the plot. This is the plot. I'm just assuming I'm the one working for her. I said, madam, just let the Residential Electoral Commission declare you as the winner. Once they want, we go to court. And we'll be from the first court to the Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. You will have spent 6 months, at least as a governor. You'll be on record, you are there. And is that so? Is it possible? And then they go ahead. They declare, and before so that they will not reverse the thing, she jumped into the court and the court said, no jurisdiction. Go back to that Adamawa, where this thing has taken place. So for all she's now claiming and writing letter, it's afterthought. You know the implication that number one, the officer that returned you, and you are a senator, you are not just coming in politics for the first time. Somebody returned you as a senator. And now that another person who is not supposed to be the one returning you, no figure, nothing has been given to you, and you read an acceptance speech, you have, by implication, you can even cause disorderliness. By people will react negatively. What's this one? Why have they done? And then, thank God, the people will behave maturedly. So many things will be charged against her. She cannot claim to be ignorant. There is no ignorance of the law. It's a conspiracy. It was done, and they knew the implication. If they know, why are they rushing to court? There's a book written by James Aliche. He said, the guilty are free. They knew they have done the wrong thing. And for them to be able to sustain, they need the court. Yesterday, you were saying that court is always the problem. And I said, no, it is the political class. That is the problem. Once they created it, they will use courts to cover up. And in this our job as a judicial officer, if you rush to me and said, look, this is what I've done, only very few lawyers will ask you, okay, you have a bad case. I'll give an example. A few months ago, somebody collect money from cooperative society for about 0.5 million, and they were demanding for their money, and they were threatening to come and take some of our property. And the man ran to me. He said, yes, Mr. Help me sue them. I said, come. Do you owe them? You borrowed the money, 500,000. I said, the money you pay me, go and pay out of it to them. Not all lawyer will do that. They will collect that money, and then they will delay people from having their money. So most of the people who advise this our female government, I like to say, look, madam, there's a way to do it. When we go to court, we restrain them. We got an injunction. and then we also go to court, they will compel them to swear you in. And the case will continue like that. So, and the politician will misquote the Bible. They say, first seek ye the kingdom of God. They will not first seek ye the victory, and then other things shall be added unto you. So when they are first of all won the election, they will now delay so many things. And if you are lucky, look at the Imo election. The present governor there was on the 4th position. And a new governor has been sworn in. I won't spend up to maybe 3 months. And then they came to said that this area were not counted for me. And then the man was not a day of electronics. So the figure was available, and the tribunal looked at them and said, okay, let's add this one. From 4th position became 1st. So you can see the story. So are you going to say the judiciary? Is the one they pay before the judiciary? The woman who ran here, and is it judiciary? They are the one that went there. If the other person had not been very sensitive, they will just give injunction, and then there will be chaos now in Adamawa. So we must begin to tell the politician that power is responsibility. You don't just came for power for sake of it. If you get power without getting ready that is a position of responsibility, you realize that most of the people who got there, they will eventually not get something to show. Before you contest, even as a House of Assembly, you must have your plan. What do I intend to achieve? What type of bill am I going to bring before them? What are the challenges confronting my people? Most of these people who are in charge as a governor here, they have no blueprint. It's either the Godfather make them to become governor because they are. Look at what is playing out in Kogi. In Kogi, there are about 6 different ethnic groups there. We have Igala, we have the Biras, we have the Nupes in Lokoja, the headquarters. We have the Yorubas. Now, Igbira have just done their own. Now you are bringing another Igbira, which is your own cousin, into that situation. So how do you expect that state for what? And the Constitution says that. That's 16. Section said in section 14 said in the distribution of it that power should not be concentrated. It should be so as to allow for what we call federal character, even in the state. So when you now limit to a particular section of the state to be the governor all the time, will there be equity? Will there be peace? Is it fair? Is it just? So these are some of the things that politicians will push aside. They don't want to know if it's fair. They don't want to know if it's just. All that matters is that I want power. I want to be the first female governor. And then later I say, I didn't have the intention, and this is what happened. I'm a Democrat. You can be Democrat by mouth, but not Democrat in reality.
All right. In Nigeria today, we seem to be having a lax in arrest or delivery of justice. Now, the point is, could these people, that is the REC now, the Adamawa REC, and Binani herself, could they have been picked up from that point without any special personnel like the president ordering the arrest or probe of the security chiefs now, including those security agents that were around them at the time?
I said it's that you don't need the president, you don't need the governor once you commit a crime. Crime is crime. If you look at it, somebody's responsibility. If I happen to come here and then broadcast to Osun people, the first question they'll be asking, who is the manager? Who is the studio one who assists this man to broadcast? Then secondly, do I have such a right? So you now say, no, let's go and find out from the governor. If Mr. Baiton should be prosecuted, they don't need the governor's approval. I have violated the law. What did the law say? So the law is that if anybody steals, converts, usurp, destroy, or any activity that is likely to lead to breakdown of law and order. So there are so many things they can charge Minani for. Because her action in colliding with those who have done that can provoke the riots. Houses can be burned. Life will be lost. So those ones I know, do they need the president? No. That is the law. She and their collaborator have violated the law. So the law should have their call. The problem with us is that most of the time, when the law enforcement agency are dealing with people who belong to the ruling class, they are very careful, knowing fully well that the aftermath could be against them. Especially when you know somebody who belongs. Okay, let's look at what happened when election was coming up in Lagos. Somebody said, if you are of this ethnic group, please don't try this one. Assuming that person belongs to the opposition, will it happen? Do you know they will have picked the person up? Till I'm talking, that person is still walking the street of Lagos and still one of the people who's going to be relevant in this coming government. So these are the area where law enforcement agency have not been doing the way they ought to do in other climes. In America, even in Ghana, in South Africa, either you belong to the ruling party or not. If you violate the law will have its course. But here, look at the harder farmer clutches in most parts of the country. By the time the police arrest them, before you get there, they've done everything. They say what? Instruction from above. Otherwise, the killing in Benin could not be so rampant almost on every week. There were days 60 people, 65, 45, 25 that have been buried. And yet we're not at war. Are you going to say there are no police there? Are you going to say that police doesn't know their work? Don't they have investigation? Do you know when you have all DSS you are talking about, they normally call them CID before, Criminal Investigation Department. They are the one who have their ears to the ground. Before an event took place, a criminal issue, they already pick it at the beer parlor. They know where those people are dwelling. If you go to Mushi, there's a place they call Akala. Those Akala have been historically places for the hoodlums. They sell hemps. If you want people to become hoodlum, you go there and recruit them. So the police will know when these people are striking because they have been used. They pick them up. Today, the CID will not bother because they will say they are not criminal, they are party boys. So you understand what I'm talking about. But if it is the opponent, they are not criminal. So things like that are not supposed to be so. It is so because in our own country, we do not allow institution to function. What is an institution? An institution is a designated maybe ministry or department that this is going to be your job. So if police job is to arrest criminal, either ruling or no ruling, leaders or servant, then you now infiltrate. You now give instruction because of the appointment of either commissioner of police or whoever it is and say, please, for the period I'm going to be here or governor or president, I don't want this type of people to be arrested. They are my boys. And that's why you find them. You even look at this when the election for Osun were coming. There were guns exchanged. Some people were arrested. Some were detained. Did you see anybody in the court? So these are the reason why we said until we allow things to work the way it's being done over there. And let me also tell you, most of our police we are accusing here, if they go outside this place, they perform extremely well. At the international, monitoring or that kind of thing, done in ECOWAS and many other things, UNO. But when we come here, because we do not allow them to do their work, because we influence them, because we tend not to allow things to, what we call the rule of law. If the word rule of law, either you are a senator or anything, you read something, even your speech alone is enough to catch you. Where is your certificate? Why is the person that give you the pass mark? Who is the one that ordered it? So most of the people who are there will also be arrested as what? Conspirators. So, and even in law, when you look at the word conspirator, it's people of like mind. I don't need to be there before they arrest me. And that's why in coup plotting, sometimes they go and pick some people at home and say, I don't know, they say, in your previous meeting, in your discussion, in your phone call. So these are some of the things that the conspiracy. So for all these ones to function, it's not because the police didn't know their war or the court does not know. It is because somebody at the top. Remember, there used to be a video sometime, Oga at the top. So one Oga at the top has given instruction. That thing will not be done. The man arrested will be released, and that will be the end of the story. I remember I make reference to the man who used to be a kidnapper the other time.
Yes.
And what's the story?
All right. I'll say we'll leave the conversation there. That's where we'll wrap up this week. Thank you so much. Mr. Moses Obaditon is a legal practitioner, a rights activist, and of course a social commentator who has joined us this morning to give us his thoughts on the issues happening in Adamawa State. Well, thank you so much for your time on the show this morning.
Thank you for being here.
Well, I'll be back after this break to bring you spring trends and tell you who and what is trending on social media. In the meantime, we'll take this break. Temitope needs to go prepare for Eid al-Fitr.
Happy Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim faithfuls out there. Thanks for joining us today on the Morning Spring. I'm Temitope Ajijola Oluwala.
Political participation by encouraging our daughters, sisters, aunties, mothers, and indeed the girl child